not everybody can commit to coming into the treatment room once a month, which would be ideal. But I tell my patients, if you can't at least do quarterly, which would be great, I use the analogy, if you've got your car, you're changing your oil in your car every 3 to 4,000 miles. So quarterly, you should be changing your skin every 3 to 4 months. You should be coming in and doing something.
Welcome to the Beauty Talk podcast, where we feature how the best medical practitioners help their patients to look better, younger, and healthier. Now enjoy the show, and here's your host.
Daniel Gao here. I'm the host of Beauty Talk. We feature the top medical practitioners in health and beauty, both inside and out. I have Raquel Merlini, the founder of Our Skin Aesthetics, a board-certified aesthetic nurse specialist with a freshly earned BSN and 13 years of specialized experience in plastic surgery. A licensed esthetician and IFBB pro bodybuilder turned triathlete, she's also a proud mom of two who built a thriving med spa empire after reinventing herself post-divorce. Her unique blend of clinical precision, competitive discipline, and relentless empathy has made her one of the most respected voices in advanced aesthetics. So Raquel, welcome and glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. It's an honor and a pleasure. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so let's start off with this, Raquel. I'm curious, how did you first get interested in the medical field? Let's kind of go a little bit more broad. How did you first get into in the medical field?
Yeah, because that really was not where I would have ever thought I'd see myself. If someone would have asked 30 years ago, do I see myself being a nurse or doing anything in medicine? Definitely, I would have not thought that. I became a licensed esthetician my ex-husband and I had a building company, and we lost everything in the economic crash back in 2008. And that kind of forced me we relocated, and I really didn't have a network or friends. And I met this group of ladies, and they said, what are you passionate about? And I just kept talking skincare. And they said, you should go and become a licensed esthetician. And I had never even heard of that field at all at that point in time. And from aesthetics, we moved back to Michigan. And when I applied, I knew I wanted to be more medical aesthetics just because of what I gained learning from being an esthetician. And I ended up working for the chief of plastic surgery for a prominent hospital here in Michigan. And he came to me and said, would you be interested in going to nursing school? I think that would be a really great career move for you with your aesthetic license. And at the time, Daniel, I was 38, and I was thinking, oh my goodness, nursing, like 2 years of going back to school, gen eds, all of that. So to answer your question, I really don't know if it was medicine per se, but I know working at a plastic surgery office, I loved the results. I loved the patients, and I just felt that it would be a perfect marriage with my aesthetic license.
Okay. And then what caused you to want to start your own practice? I mean, why not just keep working for that practice or another practice? What made you want to start your own?
Yeah, good question. I was getting ready to turn 50, and I was working for someone else, and he was getting ready to retire. And at that point in time, I thought that would be the time to go on my own. And also, I wasn't necessarily aligning with where I thought the future of the practice currently was headed. So I thought, you know what, I'd like to go on my own. I had looked at joining other practices, but at the time I looked at my book of business, and I had already been working in the aesthetics industry for 13 years. So my book of business consisted of 3,000 patients. And I just thought, if I go and join another practice, what would that look like? And then, being at my other location for 13 years, I didn't want to have to go join a practice, and then if I was dissatisfied, have to pick up and leave, because I didn't know what that would look like. And I figured, since my physician was going to be retiring, it was a perfect time to do a transition. Kind of a little bit of a gutsy move in retrospect, but one that I have never regretted, nor have I looked back. And I'm very blessed to have my own practice. And ironically, we had another injector there who was a physician, Dr. Cruz, and she's amazing. And when she heard I was going to open up my own practice, she said, I'd love to have a conversation with you, because at the time I had a potential different medical director. And she said, I'm so excited and congratulations, and this is awesome. And I said, well, thank you very much. And she goes, I hope you're calling to ask if I would be your medical director. And I had another aha moment, and I was like, yes. So someone that I was already familiar with, had previously worked with, she understood the aesthetics industry and had a background in it. So it was a perfect recipe.
Awesome. So now that you have your own practice, I want to dive into the treatments. What are some of the most common treatments that you provide to your clients, to your patients?
Yes. So still, I believe the top treatments are neurotoxins. Your traditional aesthetic treatments that have been around for a long time, as well as filler, your hyaluronic fillers. There definitely has been a surge in biostimulators, which I've been doing for about 9, 10 years now. And I love where the industry is going with that. And then I have an esthetician, so we do more medical skincare treatments, not just the fluff and puff facials. We're more like corrective, preventative, and corrective treatments, such as microneedling. We've got an IPL laser, a YAG laser. I do have the CO2 laser, so I was performing that at my previous location. So we brought on a CO2 laser. So, but I think, there still really is, I would say the top procedure is still your neurotoxins.
Mhm. Okay. And with those types of treatments, I mean, what is the end result that people are really kind of looking for that your services can really solve for them?
So the older I'm getting, I probably have a little bit of a different vantage point.
Mhm.
I'm more into correction as well as prevention. I do feel like the industry is leading away from that overfilled, done look. My belief is, I like to preserve people's natural beauty. I think that aesthetics originally was designed as enhancement. And I feel that's primarily where our practice is. Most of our patients walk away feeling like they look like uh, who they are or who they used to be a couple of years ago, where
Mhm.
they just look like they're rested or a little less stressed. Um,
So just turn back the clock a little bit for them.
yeah, not create a different persona or caricature of yourself, but look like you got a new haircut or you went on vacation. I really am passionate about skincare too, because if you do nothing else but at least take really good care of your skin and prevent those lines from occurring through the treatment room with, neuromodulators, relaxing those muscles, as well as enhancing skin. I think that that's a really good foundation.
Mhm. And so when it comes to the skincare, I want to dive a little bit deeper into that one. What are some tips you would give to people to just kind of be aware of their skincare? Like what can they do? Is something that just simple that they can do? Or is it like what are some of the advanced ones that people already maybe taking care of it, but they maybe are missing some key components? Like what advice would you give to people about their skincare?
Yeah, good question, Daniel. I like to keep it simple, silly. I come from when I was 18, I worked for Clinique. So I understand system selling, walking away with 5, 6, 7, 8 products. However, I really feel that keep it simple, silly for a couple of different reasons. One is we're busy, right? Between whether you're working or, raising your children, we have busy lifestyles. So if it becomes a job, the last thing you want to do is have to complicate and do 8 different steps before you're crawling into bed exhausted, right?
Mhm.
Also, I do think that uh, there's certain things that you can do at home to help with the treatment room. And it's 3 or 4 products. Everybody should be on a retin-A, or retinol. I don't care how old you are. And I don't think you're too old to start. Retin-A is going to be great with that cell turnover rate. It's going to do some correction of your past sins, whether it's past sun exposure or lifestyle or environmental. So that's going to help with your past sins as well as prevention with the correction of preventing that fine line from ever occurring. Better luminosity to the skin, etc. I think everybody should be on a growth factor over the age of 35, some type of treatment that is going to stimulate collagen and elasticity, because as you well know, after the age of 25, we're starting to lose 1% of collagen each year. And we want to keep that skin having that nice plumpness, firmness, because even when I was in plastics, people would go and get a surgical treatment and walk away with a beautiful lifted face, but they still have those crisscross hatch lines from past sun exposure or lifestyle or environmental. And we need to get that skin looking, more youthful. So a growth factor is definitely going to do that. Your nighttime is the most important time, because that's where your skin's repairing. It's resting and it's repairing itself. So, definitely doing a double cleanse, washing your face twice, once to remove all of the contact stuff that we incur throughout the day, and then the second cleanse to remove any product that you may have put on your skin, your sunblocks, which are always a must. And then going ahead, putting that growth factor or that retin-A on. And then, a lot of people think, oh, well, I've got my retin-A, I don't need a moisturizer. Well, you do, because, that moisturizer is then either has the growth factor built into it, or dependent to, I used to tell my patients, and still do, that it's important to change your skincare routine. Also, your skin is your largest organ. It's constantly changing. It definitely is reflective of not only stress, the things that you're going to come in contact with, but I'm here in Michigan. We have like a foot of snow outside, Daniel. So, we're all getting into our cars. Our heat is blowing on our face. I'm walking around with Aquaphor, straight Aquaphor on top of my skin to keep it hydrated. So, changing your skincare seasonally is just as important, and paying attention to that. And then when I wake up first thing in the morning, I just splash water, because I've already cleansed and I don't have anything on my skin other than my treatment products that were doing their job overnight while I was resting and sleeping. I just splash water on my face, and then put like a vitamin C to help lighten and brighten and protect your skin with those antioxidants. And then I put my moisturizer with my sunblock on, or my tinted moisturizer, and I'm out the door. So I think people want to overcomplicate things, and I don't think I don't think it's necessary.
I think it's a very good, extensive explanation about what people need to be aware of when it comes to their skincare. I do want to touch on another item when it comes to it, and I guess I'll kind of wrap this under the term of nutrition.
Yeah.
I guess it's like, what should people be thinking about what they're drinking, what they're eating, that also plays a role in their skincare? And I know that nutrition is not always like the number one thing people think about with skincare, but I think a lot of people may be missing it. Like, can you talk just a little bit about that? Like, are there some things that absolutely you need to avoid? I think that some people just, like, oh, just avoid the fast food. Like, that's probably going to not do your skin any favors. But what about even just drinking enough water and keeping your body hydrated? Like, is that going to make a difference? Or can I just use these moisturizers, these creams to hydrate my skin, but I don't need to drink that much water? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so I think definitely there's validity to that question. I love that you asked that question, because I think that people don't always think of the intrinsic properties that we can do to keep our body hydrated and nutrition. It's always the extrinsic, which is your creams and your treatments. But definitely, I believe we are not hydrated enough. A lot of people don't understand. Yes, there's a traditional, you should have 8 ounces of water a day. Uh, People don't take into consideration then, I'm a 2 cup of coffee a day girl. I like my morning coffee and then I like my afternoon coffee. Not so much even for that caffeine. I think it's a little more comfort, especially today. Like I said, we're in this blustery Michigan land. I like to just hold it and have the warmth, and it just kind of is like an afternoon teddy bear hug for me with my coffee. But um, for every cup of caffeine, whether it's soda, which I don't drink soda. I think it's extra sugar and extra calories. I'm a menopausal woman. I don't need the extra calories around my midsection that soda provides. But I think that, for every caffeinated beverage that we have, you are supposed to replace that also with a glass of water. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. First thing in the morning, if you can at least get that 1 8-ounce cup of water, it bathes our liver and our kidneys. It gives them a nice little warm bath before anything else that we put into our body. So, however, I do think that your skin isn't necessarily showing the effects of being dehydrated if you are using your hyaluronic acids, right? So I love products that have HA built into them, or you put a hyaluronic acid on first because it is going to bind 1,000 times its water weight. So it's a natural humectant. It's going to pull moisture from the air, but then you need to put your moisturizer over top of that hyaluronic acid. So topically, it's important, but I do think that nutrition plays a key role in our skin's elasticity. I love a collagen powder. I don't know your thoughts on that or how you feel, but I definitely think that we need to replace collagen powders. I don't think that, we could get off also onto another conversation that a lot of people are not eating enough protein. So, your protein is your building blocks. It's what's going to repair your cells. So that nutrition aspect is very important, especially with the GLP-1s. We're seeing a lot of facial wasting on patients. So, I believe it's for every pound of body weight, we are supposed to be having 2.2 grams of protein. So, I know a lot of women are walking around and they are not eating enough protein for sure. And then again, with aging, you want to make sure your bone density, your osteoporosis, the protein and your food is going to play a part in your bone health and your skin health for sure.
Okay. Now,
That was a lot, Daniel.
yeah, it's good. It's really good information. And I think
Okay.
this information, I think it helps a lot of people. I think there's also a lot of confusion out there. So when you're talking to your clients, your patients about skincare and skincare routines, what would you say some of the most common misconceptions or myths that you hear from your clients? Just things that they believe that's just not true.
I do believe that people think that if they just put a hyaluronic acid on, that they're going to be hydrated.
Mm.
I will tell people you need to do some type of resurfacing treatment. I like to think of kind of your spring forward. We want to get our skin really nice and luminous and glowing for the summer months. With humidity and everything, you don't want to be wearing that thick makeup. If you can wear a lighter tinted moisturizer, it doesn't cake, it doesn't get in those lines and show the aging that just does occur. So, but you've got to remove that dead layer of skin. Fall, I love fall cleanup because all of the fun in the sun and everything that we did in the summer months, you are going to get that thick buildup on your epidermal layer. So doing some type of a resurfacing treatment like a dermaplane is beautiful. Microdermabrasion is great. A chemical peel, because your products are only going to have a certain amount of efficacy. If you've got a thick buildup of dead skin on your on that superficial layer, then your products also are not going to penetrate the skin. So we've got to remove that dead, dry skin layer so that your products are going to have a better efficacy at home. So that's a big major thing that I talk to my patients about when they're in my treatment room, because I'm constantly trying to tie in both injectables as well as skin health. So, I mean, I can inject all day long, but again, if that skin integrity as well as the luminosity to the skin is not there, you can buy a $200 cream at, the your med spa or at the mall, and it's not going to do its job or be as beneficial as if it is on a nice clean skin barrier. So I
Mhm.
do think that that's important, that at least to, not everybody can commit to coming into the treatment room once a month, which would be ideal. But I tell my patients, if you can't at least do quarterly, which would be great, I use the analogy, if you've got your car, you're changing your oil in your car every 3 to 4,000 miles. So quarterly, you should be changing your skin every 3 to 4 months. You should be coming in and doing something. Now, again, I understand everybody's very busy. If you can't do that quarterly, at least try 2 times a year to do some type of exfoliating process to remove that dead skin cell layer so that you are able to get more benefits from your at-home care as well as the treatment room.
Okay, so it sounds like what people need to really focus on is making sure that I'll call it the canvas of their face is
Yes,
right to, I guess, not draw on, but to basically optimize. If you don't have, if the canvas is not right, anything you put on top of it is really not going to stick.
correct.
Got
That'd
it.
be
Okay.
perfect explanation.
Okay. Perfect. So then now I want to switch a little bit over to the team that you've built, Raquel, because I mean, you had the
Yeah.
practice, you've built up a really amazing team, and I think they've led a lot to helping with the growth and success of the practice. Could you talk a little bit more about your team and how you're able to build this team?
Yeah, this is oof, gosh, okay. My team is amazing. And we really have created a culture here that they're team players. I've never in my life worked with a group of women that, and they're all young too, Daniel. I'm kind of the mom of the group, but it's really good, proud mom and I guess mentor moments when I see my injectors, empowering one another, going to the other and saying, hey, like I did this way, is there a better way to do it? Or how do you do it? Or what would you recommend? Watching them with their peers bounce ideas off of one another and encourage and empower. I have a seasoned veteran esthetician who actually hired me at my previous location. And when the physician retired, she wanted to come on over here. And she has been mentoring my younger esthetician, and she's not a gatekeeper. She's not keeping secrets. She really is sharing all of her wisdom and experience. And then I have two amazing medical assistants who, you know, uh, from the minute that, well, it really starts the minute you walk in the door, and even before you walk in the door, you're getting a friendly text reminder from Kayla, my patient coordinator, or Alicia. And then they walk in the door, they're greeted. Kayla stands up, she knows your name, she knows things about you, where you've been, what your, kids are doing. And then Michelle or Alicia will scoop them up and bring them into the treatment room. And they take that time where they'll say, hey, how was your last vacation? How are your children doing? Whatever milestone that my patients are having or experiencing, my medical assistants are on point, and they are very welcoming with the patient. And then by the time I get in there with them, you know, it, people are busy, they're racing around, and we want them to come in, feel like our skin is their family, and that we are here completely for them and to hear them. And it's a whole experience. And I could inject every single day and I'd be okay. But these girls are they're the heart and the beating heart of our skin. And I don't even say that lightly. I can't stress it enough. I'm so blessed and so grateful to come to work every single day and see these women and watch them grow.
Yeah, it's very well said. I'm glad. It sounds like you have an amazing team of people over there. Now, that kind of brings my next question. What role do you believe that creativity plays in how you and your team approach patient care?
Yes. So the girls will sit down. Quite frequently. I can't say that we have a time limit on it where it's monthly. I would love to say it's monthly. My schedule is very packed, so I don't always have the luxury to sit down and do think tanks with them. But we have threads that we'll text and we'll bounce ideas. We're usually all here together. I'm here Monday through Friday. When the girls are in, I have an open door policy. They'll come in and they'll say, "Hey, I have this idea. Could we do this? This might be a great idea." We just expanded, so we took on an extra 1,000 square feet. We're still smaller, but we've got a little bit more space now if we want to have an event. And they're like, "Hey, could we have, like, one of my patients has a beautiful jewelry line. Could we have her come in and do like a coffee matcha bar?" They start working on the 12 days of Christmas, probably in August. They'll put a special together with that. So, and I'm open. I'm game. I'm like, whatever you guys want to do. They're very, very creative. We run a lot of our own social media. We just hired outsource for our social media, but we've been managing it and doing it. They love their TikToks. They'll rope me in every once in a while. So they're very, very creative, and they always have ideas. And there's rarely will I ever say, "No, we're not doing that." I'm up for anything. They'll oh gosh, Daniel, they just roped me into doing a solid core Pilates event. And because we have a lot of patients who are in the fitness industry, and so we did goodie bags for that. So they're young. They're very, very creative.
That's awesome. Now, Raquel, I'm sure that throughout your experience, you've run into maybe some challenging cases or at least memorable cases. Is there maybe one story that really comes to mind that you'd be able to share of just a memorable case and how you were able to get them a great outcome in the end?
Oh, goodness, there's so many. It's hard to name one specifically. I've turned a lot of people away when they've come in and they're emotional because, when you're going through a divorce or you found out maybe a spouse is having an extramarital affair, or, I had one patient who lost a child, and that was very, very upsetting. And, she was like, "I don't care what you do anything. I want it all." And I was like, "You know what? Let's just sit and talk today. Let's just have a conversation." I don't think we need to do it all. And I think that where you are emotionally, this is not the day for that. I don't want you to have any regrets and then say, "I wish I wouldn't have done that. I was trying to fix something aesthetically to fix what was going on in my heart or my mind." So, those circumstances happen frequently. One case I did have, though, there was a young lady. She was absolutely beautiful. She had a scar on her forehead. Her father dropped her when she was young, and I think that she always associated trauma with that scar. Every time she looked at it, it just reminded her of rejection, abandonment, and someone not being there for her. And through some microneedling, a little bit of laser, and some tox and filler to that area, it was over the course of a year. And when we finally were able to pretty much eradicate it, she just started crying. And, I was like, "Are you okay?" And she said, "You know what?" She goes, "I cannot believe every time for the last 30 years I have looked at that scar on my forehead, I have just thought about what a terrible, terrible um, experience she had had." And she said, "And now it's gone, and I feel so good about it." So it was just that trauma that she had that was a constant reminder, and we were able to remove that. Again, my staff and my team, they're very loving, they're very nurturing. So oftentimes we're putting on I always say I major in psychology, minor in aesthetics.
Mhm.
I think through that we were able to make her also feel safe in our environment. So that was a um, pretty spectacular, simple like moment
Yeah.
that made an impact on someone.
And I think it's a very powerful story because I think what's lost in the aesthetics industry that people kind of have this perception of the aesthetics industry. It's just about vanity. It's just about maximizing your beauty, but it's not that. I mean, it's these powerful stories that when I ask providers, like, what's the most powerful story? It's almost always going to be this person had something, a scar or
Yeah.
something that wasn't normal, and they just wanted to be normal. They just wanted to be a better version of themselves. It was never about, oh, I want to be vain or I want to look more beautiful than everybody. It's never that. It's always just, I want to get my confidence back. I just want to be
Yes.
normal. And those are the most powerful stories. So I think that's these set of stories should be told more often because I think that's what the aesthetic industry is about. It's about getting people's confidence back. So
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're in, a society where there is a lot of emphasis on the way that you look. I saw a surge, my best numbers ever, as I'm sure a lot of people did in the aesthetics industry, again, after the pandemic, that people were, you know, doing a lot more on camera
mm,
and not realizing I had one patient come in and she's like, I got this double chin and I've got this under eye hollow. And I said, okay, can you do me a favor when you go home, put your computer up? No one should be looking down into the computer. We all look terrible. Okay.
mm,
We're all going to have a double chin,
mm,
extra lines on your face. Just reposition your computer.
mm,
But my business saw a lot of men too, because I don't want to say, but we are in a little bit of an ageist society. And whether you're selling cars, which again, I'm in Michigan, Detroit, we've got our big three, or real estate, or if you're even doing, at home working remote and you have to be on camera, you want to look your best. I had a patient yesterday. She lost her job. She's in her 50s, a
mm,
mother of two. And she said, I really can't afford my Botox, but I'm here because I want to make sure that I'm looking youthful because I'm applying for jobs. I'm in advertising and
mm.
I need to look like, I can still be creative and put ideas together. So, uh, you know, I do think there is a certain vanity, but I again try to put more of the emphasis on if you feel good, you look good. And when you look good, you feel even better about yourself. So, yes, vanity is something that's there, but I also feel that people they just want to feel good. They just want to feel their best.
Yeah. Yeah. And with all that being said, Raquel, where do you think the future of aesthetics is going?
I think that hopefully it's going back to what it was originally intended for. I am dissolving more patients
Mm,
who have either been at other clinics and they feel that they're overdone, overfilled. I think that we're also going in the direction, we're definitely growing. I don't think there's ever going to be a world that is not going to have aesthetics. I mean, 7-year-olds are now buying refrigerators, okay, for their bedrooms, which I'm like, oh my God. But I think that what I'm hoping with the industry is we're going to start to see people are taking care of themselves to go back to our earlier conversation, both again intrinsically through nutrition. I think the use of peptides, more of a wellness as well as so internal as well as what we can do on the outside. So I think that the industry is going more towards some biostimulators as well as what we can do with diet and nutrition to help with growing old and not looking it or not feeling it.
okay. And with your practice, our skin aesthetics, what's your vision for your practice?
My vision. Oh, that's a good one, Daniel. You really had to stump me with that one. Uh, I think everybody, of course, is always going to say growth, but I'm not looking growth necessarily with numbers. I just want us to constantly be improving. So education is very important. My girls are constantly going to trainings. I have my reps are amazing. I'm on this one aesthetics board, and people are like, my reps are non-existent, or they don't come in and they, don't interact with us. My reps are amazing, and I will always say to them, we don't have to necessarily inject, but I would like for my girls to observe. I don't think, even for myself, if I have the time, I love to go to a training, because educators can often give us pearls of wisdom or a different way of thinking. I mean, how I was trained on Botox, we only touched from here up, and it was 5-point injections. We never did anything with the lower face or platysma bands or trap tox or anything along those lines. So for me, where I would like to see our skin aesthetics go is that we are constantly evolving in our education, our knowledge, and our patient care, and always presenting with safe practice.
Very well said. Well, Raquel, I do have one last question for you, but before I ask it, I want to point people to your website at rskin.net.
Yes.
Now, last question for you, Raquel. What does beauty mean to you?
Beauty, what does it mean to me? I just feeling good, radiating, moving well in the body that you have. You don't have to be a supermodel that's on a magazine, but you could move like one. So I think beauty is just self-confidence.
Well said. Well, there you have it. Raquel sharing her expertise. So, Raquel, where can people contact you in your practice?
Yes, so we have our website, which you were able to let everyone know, ourskin.net. Our social media handle is ourskin aesthetics. I have my personal one, which is ourskin admission. And we have our link tree, as well as all of the information if you want to contact us and give us a follow. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, Raquel, this is awesome. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for sharing your message.
Thank you so much. It was an honor and a pleasure, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks for listening to the Beauty Talk podcast. Any questions, please contact the practice directly with the contact information provided during the show. We'll see you again next time. Bye for now.